Hello, from Maurice, and welcome to Things Invest. Talk about investing, finance, and professional development. For today's items only, the investment talk today will be Ethereum ETH. It's my second posting as of today. With respect to recording time of 4:16 p.m. on the Eastern time today, with respect to Ethereum's current trading $3,059, down about 4.05% today. And first, I just want to apologize for posting a little bit later than usual. I typically post around like 2 p.m. on Eastern time, but I had a relatively rough day today. Just been in back-to-back meetings, and there were some conflicting discussions that I also had. So had a relatively rough day mentally. Had a lot of sparring session with my constituents and colleagues today. So I am trying to just mentally control myself in a way that, but at the same time, I do own you guys, a responsibility to be posting on a day-to-day basis, twice a day, right? I promise you guys to be doing this, and it's my job to take care of you guys to make sure you guys feel safe and secure. So with respect to Ethereum, as of recording of again 4:17 p.m. on Eastern time, Ethereum trading $3,059, down about 4.04% so far. With respect to overall crypto market and equity market, is experiencing a relatively sizable sell-off, right? With respect to the video article that I posted earlier this morning. The number of reasons for the sell-off, right, and I've been counting, it's a total of 6 collections of reasons for the sell-off, right? The first one's coming from Christine Lagarde during this weekend, with her, negative depictions around crypto, calling a suspicious warning towards Bitcoin, Ethereum, and some other selections of altcoin, if you may, right? And also with respect to other reason coming from Hong Kong, and China specifically, is investors' fears a contagion sweeping financial markets from the troubled China property market, right? The Hong Kong equity market saw a sell-off yesterday on the session on Monday, right? With respect to the benchmark of the Hang Seng Index, plunged 4% with embattled developments of the China Evergrande Group on the brink of, obviously, being bankrupt or going on default, right? So that's another reason. So that's the second reason. The third reason is with respect to the Feds. In the upcoming days, on the 22nd, 23rd, so it's on Wednesday and Thursday, we're going to hear more about, the monetary policies going forward with respect to the tapering or the quantitative easing, on how that's going to be triangulated with the inflationary pressure and the job numbers, right? Which is the mandate that Jerome Powell and the Fed's boards are going to be, triangulating towards, right? So we will hear more about what they're going to be doing, and that should subsequently have some direct correlations to equity market, and subsequently some anti-correlation to the crypto market, if you may, right? Another news also, just counting so far, the fourth reason is really coming from the COVID case. Because of the Delta variants, it seems like it's, spiking in regional areas in the US or domestically, right? Especially, despite the colder weather that we're experiencing in North America, it seems like some cases are still spiking regionally. So something that is obviously raises some concern for the government, right? Another one would be just some more historical trends, right? Talk about September is typically, a negative month, just based on historical numbers, 0.4% decline, according to the Stock Trader Almanac, right? So another one is really just talking about the, with respect to Washington, D.C., right? There's some concerns about the brinkmanship in, as the deadline to raises, the debt ceiling approaches, right? So that's something we also have to be cautious about, how that's going to be triangulating going forwards, right? So collectively, about like 6 to 7, obviously negative macro factors that's driving the sell-off, right? And in respect to other news, talk about on the news front, specifically towards Ethereum, I would say collectively we do have some substantive news, but nothing really, the main cause, if you may, the macro cause of the sell-off that we're experiencing today, right? So talk about just to name a few, right? Chronologically, 29 minutes ago, with respect to Decrypt, released an article on Ethereum NFT sales yields over 650,000 for journalistic costs. Right, this is talk about the Fortune magazine with respect to their industrialization of the fund onto cultivating and supporting journalism or journalistic causes going forward. Another ones talk about with respect to just more volatility. Depictions around Bitcoin drop 8% to below $44,000 as risky asset tumbles globally. Regulatory concerns intensify. So just another repeating news on the macro factors that we've already identified so far. So nothing really substantive, right? And then another one talk about another regurgitation news talk about Fortune launches philanthropic fund for journalism on Ethereum. So another repeating news that we have already talked about. So beside the macro news that we've already talked about, there isn't really new news, if you may, that is truly substantive or worth mentioning. So let's just go back into the technical analysis for Ethereum specifically, right? So you can see that as of today, we sold off at one point to the resistance level that we identified. The first one that we tested the day before was the $3,000 level. So we kind of hover around from there, but subsequently reversed quite sharply. But we couldn't sustain, and we subsequently had that another red candle to sell off from there, right? And today we saw that we hit to the 2,930. Which was the next level of resistance. But you could see that with only maybe 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of resistance level. The real resistance levels that we should technically go down to would be the 2,750. I know on some platform, I did see that we reached close to about like the high 2,700s, but we didn't really get all the way to 2,750. But I know some platform definitely reached there at that level. And that would be the ideal level for the dollar cost average at in case you guys had the opportunity to do so. With obviously that caveat that your app doesn't crash on you, or there's some sort of like a technological manipulations from the exchange apps, if you may. That frankly till this day is still a conspiracy that I don't know, right? Maybe it's the volume of people transacting, or maybe it's because they shut it down for the whales to buy in. We do not know, and I frankly do not have a specific point of view on it. But based on my experience on Coinbase, definitely, whenever there's like volatility in the market, you want to sell, the app just crash on you. You cannot even buy nor sell, which is frankly, it can get a little frustrating. But ideally, on a technical front, MACD is still crossing down, so we are in the submerged level. On top of the fact, RSI is still at the 39.09 out of 70. So remember the rule of thumb is 35, right? So I think, ideally to get down to 2,750, 2,450 would be likely. But we need to kind of oscillate on a sideways fashion a little bit more first before we keep going down from there, right? Because like technically, the rocket ship needs to kind of cool off before we keep crashing down, right? And with respect to just to name other coins, right, just for your sake, right, I think Dogecoin is reaching that ideal level of dollar cost average. You could see that we reached the 19 cents 70 earlier today. So that was a good dip. That again, right, the 20 cents is a good level for Dogecoin to dollar cost average at. Cardano, I still see the $1.87, but we have to be mindful that the $2 is coming, and I see that we did reach that today and subsequently got bought back up because of some resistance levels here. But is it sustainable? I would say, to each his own. I would say right now it's mainly driven by public investors. So, but good sign is that the MACD is relatively depleted. On top of that, RSI is at the 35.70. So it is a relatively good zone to buy at. So if you bought the dip today, it's somewhere around like the $2 for Cardano. It's not a bad level. It's a logical level to buy at. And with respect to Solana, we are still selling off. It seems like the bloodiness is still continuing. And again, the next level is technically we broke that level of the 144 per technical analysis that we have some consolidation. We broke down all the way to the next level of resistance, basically the 130, which we did, right? We subsequently got reversed back up. However, with respect to RSI, it's still in the mid-level, so we still have some room to go down to. I think the next level ideally would be to the 114, and then ideally 95. But again, the $100 is a relatively sizable, substantive, just a flat number, right? It's people typically would buy anywhere like 90, 100, 110, those type of levels. So this could be a psychological resistance zone that we will test down to. But is that sustainable? We have to watch the technicals closely on that front. So XRP, we did break the, well, today's down 15% so far. We did break to the resistance level of 88. Again, right, this is something that it's not a surprise. It is basically matching every single resistance level that I've identified so far. On top of that, RSI did deplete to the 30 level earlier today. We can tell, obviously. And I think right now, XRP is not a bad level to buy at. I think, if you bought at the 88, that was a logical level. If we keep crashing down, which I think is unlikely because we are already relatively depleted, it will be, we need to cool off a little bit for us to continue to sell off from there. So today was a logical level, and I think the dip was logical at the 87 cent, which is exactly what happened. So with respect to Ethereum, again, I'll just, I think right now is a perfect level to buy. I think, if you want to wait off until 2,750, like myself, I do have 55 Ethereum at the moment. That's just my logics, right? And with respect to the frame of reference, we know that we are in the denial and panic stage, with obviously the 7 macro news that we've heard so far, that we're going to see more panic and capitulation and anger going forward, right? And to stay within the sanity would be to dollar cost average at the ideal entry levels, right? 3,000 would be the current level that we at right now. And I think if you want to buy now, it's not a bad level. It's a logical move, I think it's fair, based on the way that the technical is trending right now. We're at the 39, which is close to 35 on the RSI scale, right? But for me, I'll just wait, 2,750, 2,450. It's still logical because if we follow the fundamentals of the market cycle, that's where we're going to be heading to going forward. And I think technically a 2,450 should be the bottom based on how it's trending so far. I know some people are saying like 1,500, 1,750 per JP Morgan, obviously. But I think in the near term, 2,450 is more logical based on the way that we're trending so far. But who knows how's the FOMC meeting is going to plan out, how are all of these macro factors going to play out going forward. Ultimately, I'm not a wizard. I'm not a clairvoyant that can predict the future either. I'm just reading charts and reading the news on a day-to-day basis, right? But ultimately, if you bought now, right, or you bought in like at the 4,000, let's just say, right, for Ethereum, just hold for a long term, because ultimately we're going to reach a much higher level. That's just the basic supply and demand logics, right? It's going to get there eventually, just a matter of when, not if you may. And that's pretty much it on the update on my second one for today on Monday. Really appreciate you, and apologies for my off energy today. I am, again, it's been a rough day for me. Just politics, if you may. But really hope you guys find this helpful. I promise you guys to be doing this on a twice a day basis. Hopefully you guys appreciate the cadence, and I know the timing sometimes is not the most synchronized, if you may. But I really appreciate your friendship and your belief in me, and me reading the news for you. Hopefully you guys like my voice. But yeah, it's been a pleasure. But take care of yourself, and hopefully you stay tuned for the next come up. Take care.